You know those Instagram posts that are like, no friends, no fun, just goals? Yeah, this is a story about the guy who actually lived like that for real. And it did not go how those motivational pages promised. So imagine you're a scientist in France in the 1700s. You're not broke, you're not struggling, you've got status, a comfy life, a seat in the Royal Academy, which is basically the verified blue tick of scientists back then. But you're insanely ambitious. Like, I don't just want a promotion, I want my name in textbooks for the next 300 years type ambitious. And one huge unsolved question back then was, how far is the Earth from the Sun? If humans could figure that out accurately, it would unlock a ton of stuff about the size of our solar system and universe. The key to calculating that was this super rare event called the transit of Venus. That's when Venus passes right in front of the Sun and looks like a tiny black dot moving across it. If scientists in different parts of the world measure how long it takes, they can do some wild geometry and get the Earth-Sun distance. The catch? This thing is rare. It comes in pairs about 8 years apart, then disappears for like 100+ years. So in one human lifetime, you get basically 2 shots. Miss both? That's it. Hope the grandkids are smarter. For our guy, his chances were 1761 and 1769. He decides, I am not just watching this from my backyard like some casual. I'm traveling across the world to get the best data and become a legend. So he leaves France in 1760, heading toward India, specifically Pondicherry, because scientists were trying to spread out across the globe to get measurements from different locations. The trip is long, messy, full of storms. He gets stuck in Mauritius, war breaks out, whole countries are beefing, while this man is just trying to look at a tiny dot on the sun. He finally gets close to India and finds out Pondicherry was taken over by the British. The ship captain is like, yeah, we're not landing there. You want to die or what? So the big day comes. Transit of Venus, June 6th, 1761. Sky, clear. Instruments, ready. Our scientist, still stuck on a ship that will not stop rocking. And if your camera can't stay still, your measurements are useless. He watches the once-in-a-lifetime event he traveled thousands of miles for and can't get good data. At this point, most people would pack up, go home, say L, and move on with life. This man? Absolutely not. He's like, there's another transit in 8 years. I'm already out here. I'll just wait. 8 years. So he spends years floating around, traveling, trying different locations. He goes to the Philippines. The local authorities see this random European guy with weird instruments staring at the sky and are like, yeah, absolutely not. Spy vibes. Go home. He gets kicked out. He ends up back near India. By the time the second transit is coming, it's 1769. This is his last chance. After this, the next one is more than a century away. He's never going to see it again. He sets everything up. Telescope, charts, all the nerdy gear. He's ready. He's been ready for almost a decade. Transit starts. And then, clouds. The entire sky gets covered. He can't see anything. No measurements, nothing. 9 years gone, 0 usable data. He finally gives up and goes back to France. Travel is slow, so just getting home takes like another year or 2. By the time he walks up to his own door, he's been gone about 11 years. And here's where the universe really kicks him while he's down. His family thought he died years ago. Because of war, none of his letters ever made it back. The government literally declared him dead. His position at the Royal Academy given to someone else. His property inherited by relatives. His wife remarried. He walks in like, hey, I'm back. And life is like, no, you're not. This dude's name was Guillaume Le Gentil, real person. He gambled 11 years of his life, his career, his marriage, for one big scientific win, and got nothing. It's an extreme story, but it kind of exposes something we still glamorize today. This idea that if you just grind hard enough, cut everybody off, and obsess over one thing, you'll make it, and then magically everything else will be fine. A clinical psychologist, Jordan Peterson, talks about this a lot. If you go all in on your career, work 70, 80-hour weeks, and put literally everything into becoming exceptional at one thing, yeah, you will probably get really good at it. But there's a cost. You're not training the friend part of your life. You're not leveling up the family, hobbies, health, community. You become God tier in one lane and kind of a beginner in everything else. Some people genuinely want that. They're like, I don't care about kids, I don't care about weekends, I want to be the best in the world at X. And fair enough if that's truly your design. A lot of others, though, actually want a whole life. They'd rather be like 80% decent in 5 areas than 150% in one. And honestly, that's most people. On average, a lot of guys are socially rewarded for being hyper-focused on success. The more status or money they get, the more options they have in dating, networking, everything. For women, it's often more complicated socially. Being extremely successful can actually make it harder to find a partner who's cool with that, depending on the culture. Point is, going to extremes almost always means another part of life gets sacrificed. You just got to be honest about what you're exchanging. And the wild part is, when researchers looked at what actually makes people happy long-term, it wasn't who got the biggest win in their career. There's this huge study from Harvard that followed people for like 75 years. They tracked their careers, marriages, mental health, physical health, everything. They did interviews, blood tests, brain scans, full-on life stalker mode. When they zoomed out, one thing stood out way more than money or status. People who had warm, stable relationships with friends, family, and community ended up healthier and happier. Not people with the most followers, not people with the biggest IQ, people with the strongest, real connections. So let's talk about this "I don't have many friends" thing, because it doesn't mean the same thing for everyone. There are like 5 different versions of being alone, and they're not all bad. First version, chosen solitude. You genuinely like being alone. It's Sunday, your phone's on silent, you're in your room with music, a drink, your laptop, and you feel peaceful. Not FOMO, not everyone hates me, just calm focus. You like deep work, you like your own thoughts, and hanging out with people is fine, but not required. If that's you, congrats. Research actually shows people who enjoy this kind of solitude are often happier and more creative. You're not broken, you're just built for more solo time. Second version, not many close friends, but lots of light connections. You might say, I don't really have a best friend, but you chat with the barista, joke with the security guard, talk to a couple of people at the gym, coworkers know your name. You don't have a 2 a.m. emergency contact, but you're not emotionally starving either. That's not a massive red flag. Those weak ties still support your mental health more than you think. Third version, career tunnel vision. You could have friends, you just don't, because your brain is like, I'll socialize later. Right now, I'm in grind mode. You're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, telling yourself it's temporary. It might work for a while, but the risk is burnout, random midlife crisis, or waking up one day like, damn, who even knows me? If this is you, you don't have to become the life of the party, but block out even 1 or 2 hours a week to see or call people you care about. Put it in your calendar like it's a meeting, because it is, with your future sanity. And then there's the 5th version, lonely in a crowd. This is where the red flags start. You've got group chats, you're at birthdays, you show up on people's stories, but you feel invisible. You talk, people kind of half listen. You share something you're proud of, and everyone replies with the default emoji and then moves on. In this situation, the solution is not more people, it's deeper people. You might need to risk being more honest, more vulnerable, and also filter out low-effort connections so you can invest in a few who actually care. And then there's the 5th version, painful loneliness. You basically have no one. If something really bad happened, you have no idea who you'd call. You scroll at night and see everyone with their group, and it just hits way too hard. This one hurts, but it's also the one where there are clear moves you can make. The hack isn't just be more social. That's useless advice. It's put yourself into structured communities, a class you go to every week, a sport, a club, volunteering, a regular meetup, somewhere people see you repeatedly. That's how strangers slowly turn into, hey, what's up, acquaintances, and some of those turn into actual friends. And yeah, it's awkward at first. Everyone feels weird. But repetition beats awkward. Show up enough times and it stops feeling like a cold start every time. So where does that leave us? Being ambitious is not the villain here. I'm not saying quit your dreams and just go on picnics with friends. I'm saying don't accidentally build a life where you win the game and then realize you picked the wrong game. There's this idea from investor Naval Ravikant, where he basically says intelligence isn't just about achieving goals, it's about choosing the right goals in the first place. Most of us think the hard part is getting what we want, but honestly, the hardest part is figuring out what we actually want. People burn 10, 20, 30 years chasing something and then go, oh, I don't even like this. Ambition plus relationships is possible. It just doesn't happen by accident. You have to time block both, protect both. Let your life be more than one metric. Anyway, I'm curious where you see yourself in those 5 versions of alone. And you definitely know at least one no friends, just grind person who needs to hear about our unlucky French scientist. So yeah, you know what to do.